Hi, now I'm going to show you an example, in fact two examples, and compare two examples of a slightly more complicated program which uses the while loop. Okay, so now I've written temp.rb, a very simple program. The program starts on line 1, so on line 1 it enters, it prints out a prompt, and notice that I've used print instead of puts. So what happens is the cursor will remain on the same row after the statement has executed. So I can enter my word. Alright. On line 2, it will store there, the program will store there and wait for the user to enter something and hit enter. And that value will be stored as a string in this variable called input. Okay, gets always returns a string. Okay, CHOM basically removes any spaces behind or new line characters behind. So the string will be stored in the variable called input. I'll go to line 4. Now line 4, look at this condition. I'll only go into the while block if this condition is true. Remember the AND operator? So only when this is true and this is true, then I will go in. So I'll check input not equals to exit and input not equals to capitalized exit. So if I enter any other word besides exit, I will go to line 5 and print out the length of whatever word is input.length. This is the number of characters in input dot to s. So I'm actually converting a number to a string so that I can concatenate. Remember the addition, the plus operator is a concatenation operator. In this case, I'm joining two strings together. Okay. And then on line 7, you prompt for a new word. On line 8, you wait for the user input for the second word. And then that's the end of the while loop. I will check this condition again. So if the second word, which is stored in input now, is not exit, I'll go into line 5 and this keeps repeating. The loop keeps repeating. Okay. But on the other hand, if this condition is false, that means I've entered exit, I'll jump to line 10 and the program will terminate. Alright, so this is a very simple program. Basically, it prompts the user to enter a word and it will print out the number of characters in the word. Prompt again, print out again, prompt again, print out again until you type in exit. Of course, until you hit Control C. Control C is to exit the program. Now let's run it. So it asks me to enter. Remember, I use print, not put, so the cursor appears there. So I can do something like sunshine. Length of sunshine is 8. I'm relooping. Okay, enter a word, happy. Okay, it says there are 5 characters in happy. If I type exit, okay, or exit, E-X-I-T. Alright, but if I type this, it will carry on running because remember the way I actually checked, I'm checking for lowercase exit or uppercase exit only. So in this case, I'll go into the while loop, you see, and prints out the length of exit is 4. So I'm going to show you another program which does exactly the same thing using a while loop as well, but now it uses break. Now the issue, I won't call it an issue because it's not really, it doesn't irritate me very much, but the thing with this program is that notice that these two statements are repeated. Okay, line 1 and 2, line 7 and line 8 are the same. So there's one way to not repeat these statements, and I've written it in this file called temp1. Okay, so look at temp1, it does the same thing as temp. When the program starts while true, okay, look at this. This is a permanent loop, an infinite loop. So the value here is true, which means that I will always go into the while loop. I go to line 2, prints out the prompt. On line 3, it waits for user input and stores it in the variable called input. On line 5, I'll check, is this true? Okay, if input equals exit or input equals to capitalize exit, if that is the case, I'll go to line 6, which breaks me out of the loop and continues at line 11. On the other hand, if this is not true, that means I've entered something else, I will ignore line 6, I won't go into the if block, I'll go on to line 9 and print out the length. Okay, as the same thing, prints out the length and jump back to line 1. This is true, so I go into line 2 and prompts the user again. Okay, so let me just try to run this, and Ruby temp1.rb behaves in exactly the same way. Alright, it behaves exactly the same way. So this is just an example, just 2 examples to show that you can do the same thing in different ways, and I wouldn't say that one is superior to other, although there are some programmers who do not like who criticize the usage of a permanent loop. Okay, they say it's not preferable, but in this simple example, it's not that bad.